We would like to acknowledge the Yuggera people and the Turrbal people as the traditional custodians of Meanjin, the lands on which we record this podcast today. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. Always was, always will be, Aboriginal land.
Hello and welcome to For the Health of It podcast, a podcast made for healthcare professionals by a nurse on the inside. So my name is Jess Tully and I'm your host today. I'm the Brand Ambassador of Healthcare Australia, but I'm also a registered nurse myself. This episode today is so exciting and it honestly makes me want to jump on a plane and go to Port Hedland WA immediately, like ASAP, sign me up. So if you don't already know, I have worked across Australia with over 5 states now. I'm making my way through every single state, doing rural remote contracts and metro work with Healthcare Australia. And I love nothing more than talking about the incredible experiences that you have with the company, like not only career growth-wise, but also personal growth. So today I interviewed Lara. So Lara is a midwife with Healthcare Australia. And she took that first dive and did her very first contract and went from Canberra all the way to Port Hedland. So, I mean, she chose a spot so far away from Canberra that you could ever get within Australia and was in the middle of the outback, red dirt, completely different environment to Canberra where she grew up and trained as a midwife. And she just talks about the emotions, the career growth, the personal growth, and all the incredible things that she did on her time off while she was there. So this has definitely opened up a whole new world for her. And she's realized that she is unstoppable. Like she can work across this entire country, work in every single state, and just honestly live her best life. So this episode got me really excited because it's something that I am super passionate about myself. And I feel like at the end of this episode, you're probably going to jump online and apply and ask to go to Port Hedland. So prepare, maybe start working on your CV right now and get ready because you're going to get so inspired by this episode. So I really hope you enjoy. And if you go onto Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this podcast, give us a 5-star review and share the love because that is what we want to do. We want to inspire people all around this country and worldwide to know that you can do anything you want. You know, and when you work in healthcare, whether you do midwifery, nursing, whether you're an AIN, a doctor, even allied healthcare workers, we have so many amazing opportunities for you across Australia. So what are you waiting for? Get in contact with us and you can always talk to me online on HCA Ambassador Jess Tully Facebook page or Instagram and Facebook. All right, guys, enjoy. All right, I am so excited to get into this episode all about Port Hedland, but also the nerves and emotions that go with your very first rural remote contract. So today we have Lara, and Lara is based all the way in Canberra actually, but we're going to dive into her story very soon. So let's give a huge welcome to Lara on For the Health of It podcast.
Hello.
How are you feeling today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so excited for this podcast because we've been chatting for a couple of weeks, actually a couple of months to try to lock down this podcast because you've been a busy bee. So I'm really excited for this. So thank you for joining me.
I'm excited as well. That's fun.
So I want to talk about you first, actually. So obviously you're from Canberra because we had a little pre-chat before and you said you're from Canberra. Was Canberra the first place that you came from Australia? Because you have a bit of an accent there. So I want you to talk about where you actually were born, when you came to Australia, and where you studied.
Yeah, so I'm half French, half Italian, born in Belgium, traveled around with my family throughout my life, and then moved to Australia 12 years ago, almost 13. Settled in Canberra, which is where I ended up staying. Studied there, so went straight into Bachelor of Midwifery, so no nursing, and graduated there, and then I worked in Canberra in a busy tertiary hospital there as a midwife, and yeah, so I was there for about 5 years before.
Perfect. So all in Canberra then. So obviously something's kind of happened or you've had this, I don't know, desire or something has kind of pulled you to kind of going down the travel pathway of doing rural remote? What made you have the decision after 5 years of being in Canberra where you were like, I'm going to contact an agency and I'm going to try out a contract? What made you make that decision?
Yeah, I think it was a mix of a few different things. A little bit of turning 30.
Yeah, yeah.
A little bit of COVID and I think cabin fever that a few of us might have felt. And just, like busy working in hospitals and just kind of having to work a lot and, like the healthcare system kind of getting a bit stressed, and we all know what it's like. And I think, just everyone kind of being told to stay in one place all the time, we kind of made me realize that actually it was a great opportunity, great time to go and explore the rest of Australia. And what better way than doing it while being paid, but also, and I think I've realized this by actually doing it. I didn't know this beforehand, but you discover a lot more by being like in a place for a little bit longer than obviously just driving through, and also by delivering the local population's babies.
Yeah, what an incredible experience to be a midwife in such a small little town and be involved in that experience of bringing a new baby into the world. And then you'll probably bump into that baby down the road, doing your grocery shopping, versus being in a metropolitan hospital where you wouldn't really see that baby or that mum again. It would be very rare. So what an incredible experience. Oh, I love that. I feel like a lot of people go through that, especially COVID, for one, definitely rocked people having to stay in that one place and not be able to travel. But I always feel like people make the decision when they just like have a bit of a life shake, and like, as you said, turning 30, that was your little life shake. You're like, nah, I need to do something. Hey, I need to just like shake it up and do something new and exciting. So how long was your first contract? Did you go for a 6-weeker? Did you go for 8, 12?
I actually went for 9, so a bit of a
Random.
bit of a random time, just because an 8 week would have ended like the 31st of December, I think, which not ideal to end a contract. So I think with the consultant we're like, okay, let's just do 9 weeks, and then it can be like the 7 or 8 of Jan, so that it's not exactly, like it's just kind of a bit less of an awkward time. So ended up being 9 weeks in Port Hedland in WA.
So good. So when you kind of got onboarded and you started the process of joining the agency and then you spoke to your consultant, what made you decide to go to Port Hedland out of everywhere in Australia? Was there a certain reason, or you were just like, whatever, just give me whatever?
At the beginning I was very much whatever. I think I picked WA. I think I was like, let's start as far away as possible from Canberra. I was like, let's go not as far away as possible, but as different as possible.
Yeah.
You look at the map of Australia, actually Port Hedland is like direct opposite from Canberra, like is as far
you can't
as
get further away.
Yeah, it's really fun. And Port Hedland, like I guess not being from Australia, I don't know that much about most places. And I didn't know anything about Port Hedland. I didn't really know it existed as a town. And I think it's just chatting with the consultant. I was like, look, I'm keen for WA. What is there available with those dates? And she had a bit of a look, and I think she kind of suggested that. And I was like, I quickly looked into it and I was like, that sounds great.
Such a girl. You're just like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I was just very open-minded. I'm like, look, I'll just do whatever. Like, it really doesn't faze me. I'm up for the experience, so let's do whatever.
Very good. And what an experience. Like, I'm pretty sure it would have, like for me, like once you do it, it kind of opens up your world and you're like, wow, there is so much I can do with this career and this pathway. So run me through the emotions you felt though when you got on the plane and you were kind of, because I'm guessing you would have been put on one of those little tiny planes because it's quite rural.
I think it was like something like a 14-hour journey from Canberra. So like it was like Canberra to maybe Melbourne, then Melbourne to Perth, then Perth to Port Hedland. So I think it was three planes.
Oh,
Because, like Port Hedland's tiny, like you're not going to have direct flights or anything like that. So I was like, oh, probably could be like halfway through Europe by now.
yeah, that's a very big day of traveling for sure. So like because I always feel like when I did my first contract, I was on this tiny little plane. I went to Griffith, New South Wales for my first one. So it's like smack bang in the middle of New South Wales. And I remember sitting on the plane. It was so tiny. Like I've never been on such a tiny plane. And then I was just like, oh my God, what have I done? Where am I going? I don't know anybody. I don't have any friends. What if they hate me? And then I was like freaking out. I don't know. I think the wave of emotions hit me when I was on the plane, like about to land. I was like, what have I done?
I think it hit me. So I was really excited about it all. And so I kind of got there a couple of days early and I had booked a car because I was like, oh, I'll just like rent a car out because I flew there because it's so far away. And I was like, oh, I'll rent out a car just so I can go and explore like the first couple of days before my contract starts.
Great idea.
It really hit me when, well, first of all, I had to go and try and find the rental car place, and like you exit the airport and it's such a tiny airport and you're just looking around and there was no signs or anything and I just see like a distant car park and I'm like, that looks like maybe there's like that's where it is, and you just like it's like 40 degrees heat and I had like my big suitcase and I'm just kind of like walking along the path, and eventually I found it and just like get in the car and I just put in like the place I was staying in the sat nav, and I'm in the car and it's just this like really wild landscape, and that's when it hit me and I was like, whoa, like holy shit, where am I? Like it was just like so wild, and that's when I think it hit me and I was like, what am I doing?
Especially because and once you start exploring more states within Australia, you will notice that every single state is so different to each other. Like I'm Australian, I grew up in Australia, I've seen a lot of the country, but when I do these contracts, like Tasmania is so different to Queensland, and New South Wales is so different to WA, and then the top of WA, so Port Hedland, is another crazy one, and then also Northern Territory. So you feel like you're in like another country in a way. Like you just like, this is so foreign to me. I don't actually know much about Port Hedland. Are we talking like red dirt style? Is that Port? Yeah, that's Port Hedland. What else did you see? Run me through it. So red dirt.
The first thing you see in Port Hedland, especially when you drive in, so red dirt.
Yep.
And so it's almost like kind of the moon, like well, I don't know, but no, more like Mars.
Mars. Okay, yeah.
How you picture it or how it's pictured in movies, right? And so that's kind of the big landscape that you see. And then there's this humongous mountain of salt in the middle of like near the town, which is like they just like harvest, I don't know if that's the right word, like harvest salt, and there's like a huge pile of salt where they're just kind of like foraging. I don't know, I probably should have like looked up the lingo behind.
So random.
Yeah, where they're actually like collecting it and like packaging it and everything like that. But it's like if you look at a photo of it, like it looks really cool. Like I wasn't able to take a good photo of it, but if you look online, they're really cool, like mountains of salt. But you see it from afar away, you're like, I don't know what is it, like what it is, and you can see that there's like machinery around it and stuff, so it's something happening there. And I knew that there was lots of mining, so I knew it was something along those lines, but I just wasn't sure what was.
Oh, of all things, it's so random. You see some wild things, hey?
Yeah, but that was like the first thing I saw, and I was like, what is that? And you're kind of driving around and you're like, whoa.
I guess so. Red dirt, I'm guessing the roads are pretty rough, as in like, like rocks and just like a rough kind of ride, or is there like nice roads?
The roads are nice because I think the big mining side, so they're invested in roads and stuff around. And it's funny because now looking back, I'm like, I know what's what and what's where because I was there for 9 weeks. But when you first get there, you have no idea of what's where, and so it's just so completely foreign, and you have no idea where you're going or what's actually around you and where you are. And I just went to this kind of like like at the cabin that I was staying for a couple of nights and trying to like find my way around. And I was staying by the beach, and so I went for a quick walk before the sun was setting, and it was like so pretty with like dunes and like red sand dunes and
Oh, beautiful.
like behind. And yeah, I just remember being like, wow, I'm on the other side of Australia.
Yeah. And it's like, well, not every day that you see at a beach, like red dirt at a beach. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't visualize that normally when you think of a beach, but that's like such a unique experience. Did they have really nice sunsets there as well?
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, next level. Hey, I'm from Perth, so I miss the sunsets there. It's so nice. And Port Hedland would just be incredible. So run me through what was the hospital like? Like I'm guessing tiny, very, very tiny.
Yeah, like not as small as others that I've seen since. So they're actually a little bit bigger than some around there. So they're actually like a referring center so some of the smaller hospitals in the area would send patients to Port Hedland.
Okay.
So they actually do have like doctors there on call 24/7. They have an anesthetist, which is a big thing for maternity because that means epidurals, cesareans, assisted birth, all that kind of stuff. And they have a special care, like facilities for a special care nursery. So
wow,
I was kind of eased into the rural and remote world, I suppose.
Yeah.
Especially compared to what like a few other contracts that I've done since then, where there's just nothing, like it's just very tiny unit and that's it. So yeah, very different, of course, compared to a tertiary hospital. But yeah, still like amazing facilities, and it's actually like a midwifery led unit, which is really, really cool. It's like something that us midwives always kind of are always striving for. And really great team that was like really welcoming. And that's what I've found so far doing contracts, that they're always seem very excited for agency midwives to come and lend a hand because they're obviously like needing staff. And, I think if you come with the right attitude, they're always really keen to show you around. And I always almost kind of feel bad for them because I'm like, oh, you're constantly having to, like orientate new people and stuff. And I'm like, it must be exhausting for them, but they never show it. Like every time I feel like I'm the first person they are showing around.
Love that.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I don't know. I feel like I would feel exhausted if I had to do that to people. But I guess that's the only way they're going to get help. So it kind of,
Absolutely. And like you're helping the community so much by, even if it is just 9 weeks, like that 9 weeks is making a huge impact on them with their staffing. They're able to have annual leave. They're able to have a bit of a break from night duty because, and there's some people kind of say like, oh, well, I don't want to do night duty if I do a contract but you can't you kind of just get what you're given, right? You're there to help. So if the poor regular staff member's been doing night duty for the last 6 months and they just want a little bit of a break, then the agency can do a bit of the night duty, and that's why we're there, right? Like, yeah, absolutely. So good. So is there a doctor like there during the daytime and then they're on call at night, or are they there, or are they only on call?
No. So there's we're talking back like almost a year ago now, but no, there's doctors there every day. So they have a roster of. So there's a local doctor that's kind of there, and that makes a big difference because that means they know the local, local population that might come back for the second baby, and so they kind of have that relationship and stuff, continuity of care, and also the relationship between midwives and practitioners, like the doctors and stuff, which also makes a big difference. And then they also have other doctors that kind of are a bit of fly in, fly out kind of situation from Perth. So you get that quite a lot from in like there also with some midwives, and that was the case with pediatricians and I think anesthetists as well and obstetricians. And so I think they'd come up for like maybe a week and then would fly back to Perth for another week.
So good. Yeah, I used to work with a lot of locums actually doing that style of work. So good. So it sounds like a nice work environment, which was awesome. We got to be involved in the community, deliver some pretty cute babies, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely.
So good. So what did we do on our time off? So obviously you're very busy working. Oh, did you have to do on-call work in Port Hedland? Or is it you just get your set roster mainly?
No, yeah, it was set roster. There was a few shifts where we were really, really quiet. And so we would have had like maybe no one on the ward. And so instead of having 2 midwives on shifts overnight, one would only have 1 midwife on shift, and then another one would be on call just in case we had someone in labor come in. But that maybe happened like once or twice, just pretty rare.
Okay, not too bad. So what did we do on our days off? All right, obviously a very small town. You didn't have your own car. Did you hire a car again and go for an adventures, or did you just kind of explore the town? What did you do?
I did. So I did hire a car on a few occasions. There's Karanjini, which is a national park, I think maybe 4 hours away, which is like one of the most amazing national parks of Australia. I mean, I haven't done them all, but I know
it's up there, definitely up there.
So I did that one weekend. That was, like really, really cool. I did go when it was a bit too hot, so that I would recommend going earlier than when I did it, which was like mid-December, and everyone was crazy. Like,
so you arrived mid-December, or you were there just throughout like December period?
I arrived, I think I did November, December, so I arrived early, I think.
So you're like, don't go around that time, guys. If you had a choice.
Yeah. Like, well, I did pick the hottest month in the year to go to the hottest place in Australia. So, my own.
Canberra's pretty cold, so you really would have felt it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But Karanjini is just a very hot place. So if you go there, but also if you want to be able to swim in all the water holes and stuff, you can't go when it's too cold, because then the water gets really freezing because it's straight from the mountain. So I think even in early November, it's fine, but you just don't want to go when I went, basically.
Yeah. Okay. And then did you camp in Karanjini, or did you just do a day trip, explore, and then go back home?
Well, I have a funny story. So over there you can book like a glamping tent.
Oh, nice.
Which I did. And then I got there, and so it's glamping, but like very kind of no electricity kind of glamping and everything.
That doesn't sound like glamping to me.
Yeah. I got there and it was 44 degrees, and I went there after I did I think I did 6 nights in a row, something like that. And so I slept I slept a day and then I drove the next day. So I was pretty jet lagged in terms of, doing lots of night shift, and so you're kind of a bit tired and stuff. And did a whole day of hiking in 44-degree heat, and it gets really hot there. And I get to the glamping site, and so there was no restaurant or bar or anything like that, and which they warned you of on the website. They're saying, it's out of the popular season because it's so hot. So bring all your food, bring all of that kind of stuff. Which I did, but then there was no fridge or anything like that to keep. So I was basically not organized at all.
Oh no.
And I got there and it was just so stinking hot. And I ended up, just seeing that those tents that were just so hot. And I don't know, I was just, it was just
not
really...
not the experience you would recommend during the time you went. Because I'm guessing obviously no electricity means no fan or aircon.
There was a fan, just no.
Yeah. All right. Doesn't sound like the best. But at least you've warned people if they're going to do this glamping trip while they're in Port Hedland to like be a little bit more organized.
Yes, just do your research better than me leaving it last minute.
Love it, love it. What other things did you get up to in Port Hedland if someone was going there and wanted to do some exploring?
I went to Karratha, which was 2 hours south. I think 3 hours south, maybe. Which is another coastal town where I think they also, they have a hospital there as well, and they also, I think it's also a placement spot as well, like a contract spot as well, which I've heard good things about as well. That was really cool. They have the Red Dog statue there.
Oh,
And really, really pretty beach. Like, yeah, lots to do. I think I just went for a weekend. Just kind of exploring, going around. There's just so much, like anywhere you go, really, there's lots to see. There's one
beautiful scenery. Hey, you just take it all in when you're in a new area. You don't care where you are. You just like, this is not home, so this is great.
I know. It's just amazing. Everything is just amazing.
So great. So, what would you recommend packing? Because I'm pretty sure your first contract, it's stinking hot. There are always things that we learn. And I guess even with me going on new contracts, there's always things I'm learning where I should have packed that. What did you pack that was good? And what would you have packed if you knew?
Okay, the first thing that I can think of, what would I have packed if I had known, is like beauty stuff that is expensive in the middle of nowhere. The first one that comes to mind is dry shampoo. Like shift workers don't always have time to wash our hairs. And it's just, something that you just want to bring ahead because it's just very, very expensive. Sunscreen and all that kind of stuff can be quite expensive out there as well.
Bug spray? What about bug spray? Is there a lot of mozzies or flies?
Well, to be honest, I brought so much with me because I was really worried about that. I didn't see a single spider, a single nothing. I didn't get bitten by a single mosquito, and if there's a mosquito in town, it'll be for me, like literally, like.
Well, that's right. There's no mozzies there. But yeah, I always find, because I'm guessing it's one of those really small supermarkets, and everything's, the price is like 4 or 5 times higher than normal, like sunscreen, even cans of tuna. Did you find groceries quite expensive?
No, it was actually okay in Port Hedland. It's actually quite big, so there was a big Coles and a big Woolies.
It's a lot bigger than I thought, to be honest. Like, I had this vision of Port Hedland being really quite tiny. So now talking to you about it, I'm like, oh, actually it's pretty, it sounds like it's regional and it's actually quite built up. And I always joke, it's got like a Coles and it's got like a McDonald's, then like it's a really big, well-established town.
Yeah. Because it's a big port and there's lots of business, I suppose, happening there. So
you didn't feel isolated there? You didn't feel like lonely or anything like that?
No, I think it was fine. Met some great people, made some friends, just like fellow agency midwives.
Yeah. Do you feel like when you're both agency, it's like your friendship level goes from 0 to 100 because you've met on contract, so you're already bonding over the fact that you're both on contract together. But I just feel like you make such strong, deep friendships really quickly with people that are agency. That's my experience anyway. Like, it's like traditionally if you went to a pub and you met a new person and you became friends, like you'll just be acquaintances. But when you meet someone that's agency on a contract with you, you're like instantly friends.
Yeah, 100%. You're just, because you're both thrown in the same situation together, you just empathize, I guess, or you just, you bond over small things.
Yeah. You got each other's backs. You both know that you're alone and doing this by yourself. You make, honestly, the best friends. And I think I always talk about the personal growth that you get from these contracts, like putting yourself out of your comfort zone and getting on a plane, going to a foreign place, you don't know a single soul. It takes a lot, and you get out of your comfort zone. The personal growth factor that happens with that is incredible. And then, the career growth side as well. Yes, you learn so much in a big tertiary hospital, but learning back to basics and going to a small town, and learning how different states do different things and their lingo is a bit different. Like, you absorb all that and you're like, oh, and it makes you a better health practitioner for sure. I'm such a pro. Like, I love agency world. I love agency world. I love doing metro shifts. I love going to different facilities, and I love doing different contracts in different states because you just learn so much. And just personally as well, you meet some cool people.
Yeah, definitely. Especially like if you're just thrown in situations where, when in a big tertiary hospital, and it's easy to just turn around and be like, oh, hey, can you do this? If it's just you on shift, or if it's just you that's coming in the middle of the night, you just have to have a crack. Like, you just kind of, you can do it, but instead of just, asking someone else to do something for you, you just suck it up and do it. Or it just forces you to have a bit more faith in yourself, and it can be a little bit scary. And I don't know, the question that I get from my friends or colleagues all the time is like, oh, but aren't you scared of this? Or aren't you scared of like that this will happen and, you won't have people around you and stuff like that? But I'm like, like these places have been up and running long before I've been. So there's no situations that they haven't thought of before I've arrived. Like, they haven't waited for me to be like, oh, wait, what's going to happen if there's going to be an emergency? Like, there's protocols in place. There's like, there are places where it's safe for people to go and have their care there. So there's always something in place, like this
great mindset to have as well. 100%.
Protocols and also in places where there's like a lot, like if there's, 100 women that are going to birth a year, like in one place a year, the likelihood of something really unlikely happening is 1,000 times less, because there's 1,000 times less women going there for like to birth. You know what I mean? Like, it's just,
you're very realistic, I guess, when it comes to that as well.
You have to, because you can't just practice out of fear, because then
don't get anywhere if you practice with fear. So what is your goals now? So since doing that contract, I'm guessing you went back to Canberra. Did you get the travel bug? Were you just like, all right, where can I go next? Like, have you gone into the world of being like, this travel midwife around Australia? Because you're on contract at the moment as well.
I am, yeah. So I've done a couple more contracts. So I went so after Hedland, I went back to Canberra. So I'm still casual at Canberra Hospital. So which is great because I can go back home, see my friends, spend some time with like my friends and stuff. And as you mentioned before, like, go back to Metro and kind of do like see the things that you don't really see in smaller hospitals, and kind of go back to consolidating those skills. And yeah, it gives you kind of the flexibility to travel or be back into a bigger kind of hospital, bigger city. And then I went to Scone in rural New South Wales. And now South Australia. And yeah, my main concern is, how will I ever stop doing this?
That is honestly my concern too. Like, I can't see myself stopping, like, at all. I was like, why would I? I was like, the flexibility is amazing. Like, I meet these amazing people. I learn so much. Like, I've got a contract in 2 weeks. I leave in 2 weeks for it. And I'm so excited. Like, I'm sitting here so excited for work. Like, that's my life, right? I'm so excited for work. I know there's so many people who are not excited to go to work every day. And I'm like so pumped. Whether I like the facility or don't, I'm like, whatever. It's like 6 weeks of my life. Like, I'm going to make it a good experience. Like, I'm in charge of making it a good experience, right?
Don't get involved in politics. It doesn't actually, you take the good things, you leave the bad ones, you just make the most of it. At the end of the day, it's like, my accommodation's paid, like this and that. Like, I get great fun experience, and then I get to move on. And then if I really love it, I can probably extend, because chances are they're desperate for staff, and I can stay for longer if I want to.
100%. It's so good. Honestly, you're not going to let go of this lifestyle. This is you now. I'm sorry to tell you, but
embrace it.
Embrace it, enjoy it, like, live it up, tick off every state of Australia, do all those fun touristy things. You live once, right? So make some sweet coin and just travel and just live your best life.
Yeah, as I was saying to you before, I was like, I've just come back from, like holiday back home to Europe for 6 weeks, and I'm like, how would I have done that otherwise? I just spent 6 weeks in Europe. It was like initially a 4-week holiday, and then I was like, no, actually, I might do 6 instead. Okay, cool.
Very
I
good.
don't have a boss. I'm my own boss. So
Yeah,
that's
you don't have to sit there and get your manager to approve your leave and then feel bad for leading the staff. And you're like,
good.
I do what I want, you know?
Yeah.
So good. Well, I so appreciate your time today. I know you're even on call right now and the phone hasn't rung, so that is good. We just squeezed in the episode. But yeah, I so appreciate your time and just sharing your experience, because this episode is going to be so helpful for people that are, on the fence, I guess, with joining agency. And, you made that decision to go, all the way to Port Hedland. Like, that's so scary for a lot of people to do that. And I think listening to this episode, they're going to get so much more confidence. It already makes me want to go to Port Hedland now. I want to see these big rock salt thingies. Like,
you all need to go and Google it now.
I will. And I want to go glamping, but, prepared glamping.
Just go.
Yeah, so good. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully you don't get called in. Enjoy the rest of your contract, and thank you so much again.
I will. Thank you. It's been really fun. It's fun to reminisce and just think about all the fun memories and keep making some more.
Yeah, you got the fire in the belly. You're going to make so many good memories.
On to
So good. All right. Bye, everybody. And make sure to share the podcast and give us a 5-star review. We will so appreciate it. And you can always flick me a message on Instagram or Jess Tully on Facebook. And I'm always keen to chat about anything and everything. All right. Bye. Bye.